X-Men number 105. The X-Men arrive in time to confront Eric the Red. But Eric the Red barely fights back. He totally gets his butt kicked by the X-Men, and out of nowhere he gets defense from a guy named Firelord, who was an ex-herald of Galactus, so this guy's no punk. Eric the Red has tricked Firelord into thinking the X-Men are bad guys by making Lorna Dane and Havoc attack Firelord because they're under Eric the Red's mind control, so he pretended like he'd just been attacked by them, and so Firelord thinks that mutants are bad now. And so when Firelord sees that the X-Men attacked Eric the Red on sight, he's like, yeah, these guys are trying to pick on this guy. Elsewhere, the Emperor D'Ken is hot on Princess Lilandra's tail, and he's following her to Earth. The crew on his ship run some diagnostics on the history of the planet, and they learn that Galactus has tried to eat the planet Earth 4 times, and the people of the planet Earth have beat him back all 4 times, and this scares the hell out of the Emperor D'Ken. So rather than follow Lilandra to Earth, he shoots some photon torpedoes at her ship, and he just barely misses her as she's teleporting off the ship into Jean Grey's apartment. And this very scene is Xavier's nightmare coming true. He can't believe his eyes. It's the bug creature he's been having nightmares about for months now, maybe even a year. Lilandra kind of collapses, passes out pretty much immediately, so they're laying her down to relax when a hole gets blasted into the side of the apartment building's wall from fucking Firelord. So he says he's here for Princess Lilandra and for Charles Xavier, and Jean Grey is not having it. She transforms into Phoenix, she has Misty Knight go put her parents away somewhere safe, and she takes on Firelord. Firelord can't believe the power that she has, and she can't believe her own power. She's flying around, and she feels more powerful than she's ever felt before. Eric the Red watches from below, and he realizes that the fact that Phoenix is fighting in the sky means that the professor is unattended. So he finds Professor X and Lilandra, and he takes them to the roof, and he constructs a Stargate so that he can get them back to where Lilandra's from. Jean Grey is fucking Firelord up, and she's like really enjoying it. She like feels kind of naughty, kind of feels like the power is a drug, and she like really wants to kill him. But Professor Xavier telepathically tells her that that's not important right now, that she needs to get to the Stargate because there's more important things to handle. The rest of the X-Men have also caught up from after getting their butts whooped by Firelord, but everybody's just a bit too late. Eric has already gotten Lilandra, and he's taking her through the Stargate. In the brief time that Professor X and Lilandra were together, Lilandra told Professor X that her brother, the Emperor D'Ken, has got some plans that are going to destroy the entire universe. That's the whole reason why she flew all the way to Earth, to ask for the help of the X-Men. So it's super important that they get that Stargate back up and running, which Phoenix uses her powers to do. And everybody's like, whoa, how the hell has Jean gone from the weakest X-Man to being, like, wildly powerful beyond anything any of us can conceive? So the X-Men go through the Stargate having no idea what's on the other side, leaving Professor X and Jean's parents alone back at Misty Knight's apartment. And Jean Grey's parents are like, Professor Xavier, you better explain yourself. What the hell is going on with our daughter? And it's not just them who are angry. Firelord wakes up too, and it's like, where the hell is Phoenix? X-Men number 106. But hold up, before I get into it, I just want to make clear that this entire issue is a flashback. It's all happening in Professor Xavier's mind, and so we don't move on to the conclusion of what happened in X-Men 105 until the next issue. Firelord wants to know where Phoenix and the rest of the X-Men disappeared to after they went through the Stargate. Professor X is having a meltdown. Lilandra has been psychically communicating to him about her arrival to Earth to ask the X-Men for their help against her brother D'Ken for like a really long time. So he's been having nightmares about this, not understanding what these feelings are. But now that Lilandra has been taken, he's no longer afraid. He feels like his heart is broken. He feels like he's fallen in love with her through their psychic rapport. And now that she's gone, he needs to get to her. He needs to know that she's safe. Firelord is like, why is this guy crying? Like, I didn't realize you humans had emotions. Thought you all were assholes. Misty Knight's like, hello? You just try to kill us. Don't be trying to act all concerned about us now. She's holding Professor X, and Professor X thinks she's Moira. He's like living in a dream state right now, and he's recalling this ex-romance that he and Moira once had back when they were in school together, and he's recalling this one specific day when the X-Men were in the danger room and they got attacked by the original X-Men. None of them understood what was going on, and it didn't even make sense because like Beast wasn't blue and furry. He was back like way he used to look, and he doesn't even look that way anymore during the time that this is happening. So everyone's like, what the hell's going on? Turns out it was Professor X all along. His powers have been out of control. The nightmares that he's been having are really fucking with him, and what he's done is he's like psychically created the original X-Men and, you know, pit them against the new X-Men somehow. And he also psychically created a version of himself, like an evil Professor X. And yeah, the X-Men try to do their best to fight these things, but they're not really there. They're just like mental projections. So it's up to Professor X to make them go away. Anyway, Professor X is like remembering this moment that happened, I guess, a few months ago. And through him getting like knocked out and reliving it and waking up and being up on the roof with Misty Knight and Firelord and next to the Stargate, he now understands what was causing all those nightmares the whole time, and he feels like at peace about it, but he still knows that the X-Men have to win. Wherever the hell they ended up, they have to win that battle in order to get the love of his life, Lilandra, back to him. X-Men number 107. The X-Men have traveled through the Stargate and they have landed on Lilandra's home planet, where her brother, the Emperor D'Ken, is trying to claim absolute power, and he's named Lilandra a traitor to the people, and the people are pissed. The X-Men show up out of nowhere, and the people are like, who are these aliens? And D'Ken's got Lilandra, and Cyclops is like, hey, we've come for the woman Lilandra, and we've come for Eric the Red, and we're not leaving without him. And this guy named Gladiator is like, they're our prisoners, we won't give them up. And Cyclops is like, we'll take them then. And he starts shooting people up with his optic blasts, and a brawl ensues. Now, these people on this planet are honestly surprised at how good of fighters the X-Men are, because they know they're from Earth, and they're like not expecting them to be as strong as they are. But the X-Men really do hold their own. I mean, Wolverine gets his suit like burnt to shreds. He's burnt too, but he has a healing factor, so he's fine. So then he just goes and steals the suit off of this other guy. He just whoops his ass and takes his suit off of him. And Nightcrawler is actually able to get his hands on Lilandra and save her, just as the Emperor D'Ken is trying to feed her to this soul-drinking monster. Nightcrawler gets his hands on her, and he's able to teleport out of there with her, which he's never teleported with another person before, so it kind of really wears him down. And he's not the only one worn down. Jean Grey, Phoenix, she's been worn down since they got there. The power that it took for her to get them to travel through the Stargate really like knocked her out, and she's been useless this entire time. Now, the deal with Emperor D'Ken is that he's waiting for this alignment with these Death Stars and the M'Kraan Crystal, which is going to open a gateway to him achieving like the most ultimate power in the universe. And when Lilandra found out about it, she opposed him, and so he put her in jail. And then he went out spreading rumors saying that she was trying to kill him and usurp the throne, which wasn't even true. So while she was on an Imperial flagship, like imprisoned, she found a way to escape, and then she like meditated through space-time, and that's where she saw Professor Xavier's face, and that's when he started having all those nightmares, and then they were connected ever since then. Well, that mind link actually alerted D'Ken's telepathic spies, which he has, and then they knew she was on her way to Earth, so that's why he sent the guy that's dressed as Eric the Red down to Earth to kill Professor X. And so all those attempts by Lorna Dane and Havoc, and by Magneto, and by Juggernaut, those were all orchestrated by the Emperor D'Ken to try to stop Lilandra from meeting Xavier and meeting the X-Men. So Lilandra's trying to explain all this to Cyclops so that he can know what the hell is going on, and they're still being attacked, and they need a little help. Enter the Starjammers. They show up right on time. They're on Lilandra's side. They think the Emperor D'Ken is pig-headed, so they're fighting alongside the X-Men against all these people. And Jean Grey is like, who are these people? So she kind of like does a little mind read of the leader of the Starjammers named Corsair, and she realizes, oh my god, this is Scott's dad. And the Starjammers are helping and everyone's fighting, but it's honestly too late. The Death Stars have aligned with the M'Kraan Crystal, and it's time for the Stargate to open. And in that moment of alignment, all of existence goes blank for like a moment, and it's felt all over the entire universe. X-Men number 108. The X-Men and the Starjammers have defeated their attackers, and they've saved Lilandra. The M'Kraan Crystal has been activated, and all of the universe has blinked out and back into existence. Reed Richards, Hank McCoy, the President of the United States, Dr. Corbo, the smartest minds in the world are panicking. Our heroes are debating whether they should run or hide when they're faced with a new foe, the guardian of the gate that's just been opened, named Joff. Wolverine naively steps to Joff, not knowing his strength, and gets knocked into orbit. The Starjammers have the AI on their ship go pick him up, but in the meantime, nobody's attacks on Joff are worth anything. Not even Phoenix telekinetically bringing down an asteroid onto him does him any damage. But something Joff says tips off Banshee that Joff must be an android or a robot or something, so he uses his sonic scream to fry his circus, and it actually works. But defeating Joff only brings on the next, bigger Guardian of the Gate for the X-Men to fight. And the Emperor D'Ken is still alive and talking shit in the background. And the Starjammer Raza is tired of hearing it, so he grabs him and he throws him at the M'Kraan Crystal, an action that somehow results in them getting transported through the gateway into the crystal itself. Inside the crystal is a sphere, and it feels the need to defend itself, so it drives everyone crazy and gives them nightmares of death. But Phoenix has no fear of death because she's died before, so she walks toward it, becoming ephemeral. In his waking nightmare, Cyclops' optic blasts shoot right through Phoenix's body and crack the sphere. And Jean Grey realizes she's going to need to enter the sphere by turning into a living flame Phoenix. Inside the sphere, she learns that the thing that's keeping it running is a latticework of connections that's been damaged by Cyclops' optic blast. The Latticework survives on life force, and she needs life force to build it back up. And she knows she can use the strength of her mutant friends, but they'll have to sacrifice their lives to do so, which Storm does willingly, and Corsair agrees to as well after Jean Grey calls him by his government name, Major Summers, and tells her exactly who Cyclops is, and that he's Cyclops' father, and that he needs to do this to save Cyclops' life. With their help, Jean Grey works to repatch the Latticework, and she realizes it's still not enough, until she feels the power of the rest of the X-Men have also joined with them, and only then is she able to repair the Latticework of the Neutron Galaxy, get out of there, and they get out of the Stargate they originally came from, and they magically end up back on the rooftop of Misty Knight and Jean Grey's apartment in Greenwich Village, where Firelord is standing there waiting, but at least he has the whole story now, because Professor X has filled him in on how he was deceived, and he's cool with them now. Lilandra also walks through the Stargate, exiled from her planet temporarily, and she's got to stay with the love of her life, Charles Xavier. Oh, and Jean Grey's parents want an explanation of all the shit that happened too.